Tammy, tell me where you grew up and where you were born and those kinds of things.
So I grew up here in Columbus, Ohio, on the north side of Columbus in the Linden community. I got married at 16, had 3 children, was married for 14 years. I married a preacher's son, fresh out the military. Church was my life. I like to say we went to church 3 times a week and twice on Sunday,
Right.
most of those 14 years. I was born in the 60s. I'm a 60s child, and during that time, revolution was something black people were talking about. My mother, she was very close, and I have pictures of her sitting in our basement with members of the Black Panthers Party. Her way of pushing back was, in the eyes of my grandparents, a very oppositional, kind of involved in crime and those things. And my mother wound up going to prison for 3 years. The image and the power of how big my mother was always attracted me. I divorced my husband after 14 years and wound up getting involved in a life of crime. And I got caught up in a whirlwind. I look back over my life now and it almost looks like a movie. I met and married a Dominican drug dealer. We were traveling from place to place out of the country and every city, really just living the life of a drug dealer's wife. I started out using cocaine. My husband, after really not less than a year, was arrested by the federal government and did federal time. And that kind of was the spiraling down of my life. So that led me to prison. But a year and a half after being incarcerated, my son went to prison. In order to break that cycle of incarceration in my family, that I had to be the change agent. I wound up writing 2 books about my journey, about kind of how I had gotten to where I was, and began speaking on those books. You know, I really began to wonder, you know, what happens in our community, in the Black community, that so many of us are incarcerated. Actually, a criminologist, Dr. Deanna Wilkinson, came to me and asked me, again, because of my connections to the community, to be our outreach specialist. We were really trying to understand and really study gun violence in Columbus. The levels of violence, especially on the south side of Columbus here, were higher than some of the major cities we think about violence. Here recently, we've had a couple of high-profile shootings. There is a movement right now that I'm proud to be a part of. We call it the Movement for Black Lives. Some people call it Black Lives Matter. Our local organization is called the People's Justice Project. So our organization passed a bill, House Bill 410, and in Franklin County, the majority of cases in juvenile court right now are for truancy and zero tolerance in school. So we'll strongly reduce the number of kids that are attached to the criminal justice system. It's important that we stand up for social and racial justice in our communities everywhere. We're losing too many young people, young Black men, to gun violence at the hands of our communities and at the hands of one another.